Well, we're going to end it with we're going to end this episode of Blackhawks Banter with our normal segment. We end with the shootout round, where we're just going to do some quick fire, rapid pace answer questions to end the show. Usually, the first question I ask, how many points are the Blackhawks going to get this week? But now we're just going to ask, how many freaking games is this team going to play this week? They're supposed to play 4. As I mentioned, Tuesday night's game against Columbus and Wednesday's at Winnipeg postponed. As of now, we're recording this Monday evening. Saturday's game at Nashville, Sunday's game at home against Calgary are still on the schedule, but that may change. How many games are the Blackhawks going to play this week? That's question number 1. Sean?
0, unfortunately.
Gail, are you a little more optimistic?
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay for the weekend. I think they'll be able to play it in Nashville and Calgary 2 games.
Brooke, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Saturday's game is a go, so I'll say 1.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Sean and be pessimistic and say 0. I don't know. Teams traveling right now, it doesn't seem like a good idea. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to depend on what the Blackhawks situation is. Calgary seems to have gotten over their outbreak, and Nashville had an outbreak, and they seem to be getting better too. So we'll see. This is a fluid situation. It changes second by second. Speaking of COVID and COVID protocol, as we talked earlier, Marc-Andre Fleury is the only Blackhawk in COVID protocol at time of recording. So that means Colin Delia was recalled by from the Ice Hawks. He's played really well there of late now that he's playing regularly again. How many starts would you give Colin Delia? Okay, let's just go with the 2 games that are on schedule right now for going forward. Gail, what would you give Colin Delia?
Yeah, probably with those 2 games, just 1. But it depends on how long Fleury's out. Maybe he'll get more going into the next week.
Brooke, what do you think for Delia?
Yeah, I hope at least 1 because he's always been a solid backup for the Blackhawks.
Sean?
Yeah, I hope Fleury's back, obviously, as soon as possible, and he's okay. For the weekend, you got to give Delia at least one of the 2 if they play. I would go with a pace of 1 out of every 3 games, depending on how long Fleury's out.
Yeah, I would definitely think if the Hawks play those back-to-backs, you got to give Delia one of those games, probably the second game against Calgary. And then Lincoln gets the Predators. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, a fluid situation, as we said. Speaking of fluid situations, do you guys think the NHL should go ahead with its All-Star Weekend coming up in February, which is going to be in Las Vegas? Lots of people flying around in Las Vegas in casinos. I don't know if that's a good idea. Brooke, do you think the All-Star Weekend should still happen?
No, and I'm saying this because the NHL was saying they're already having issues with trying to reschedule all the postponed games. So I think maybe All-Star Weekend should be kind of used to make up some games.
Sean, what do you think?
I absolutely don't think it should, but I have a weird feeling that it will.
Yeah. Gail, what do you think of the All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, I don't care much for the All-Star Weekend anyway. Yeah. Let them play. Don't do it.
Yeah, I agree. There's no really need for it at this point. Even if things get better between now and February, which I'm sure the league is hoping on, but I know there's a lot of financial ramifications. And if it does happen, it's going to be because of that. You've got a new TV deal, all that stuff, all the sponsorships, Vegas, big deal, but it can wait till next year. AHL already postponed their All-Star Weekend. That was going to happen at the same time. So yeah, just make the call. Speaking of things that were canceled, there was some controversy that the IIHF canceled a whole bunch of their tournament games for January, including for the second straight year, the under 18 women's world championships. They didn't postpone it. They flat out canceled it 2 years in a row. This tournament has bitten the dust. Do you think this was the right call, or do you think they should have postponed it and try to play it again in a couple of months? Sean?
Yeah, I'll flip the question a little bit and say that not only should they have called it a postponement, but if they were going to go that route, they should have also postponed the men's side.
Yep, agreed. Gail?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. 2 years in a row, like somebody said, that's 2 class years for them. It just makes me angry, and it's all about money, so it just stinks for the women.
Yeah, Brooke?
Yes, completely agree. I think it's totally unfair to the women at this point.
Yeah, I am on board. Same way. It's unfair. These players, these women have worked just as hard as the men playing right now. And the biggest difference is the men's World Junior brings in money, and if the U18 Women's World Championship had the TV deal and we're selling out the Rogers Place, they'd be playing too. You'd know it. So
Yeah.
let the women regroup and come back in March or April. There's no reason why they can't do it. Make it happen. Do the right thing. It's sad and infuriating. And we'll end with a prediction of the World Junior Championship. We've got a couple weeks before we know this, but real quick, who do you have winning the gold medal at the World Junior? I'm not even going to ask you, Sean. We know your answer. Gail.
Go ahead, Sean. What?
Well, I just want to point when you guys are answering. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Whatever. I can't believe I gave him the floor for that. Okay, Team USA 2 years in a row. Team USA. Woohoo!
Brooke, who's your gold medal?
Heck yeah, Team USA.
Sean, we know you're going with Canada. That's a rule up there, right? As soon as you start writing about hockey, you're not allowed to ever pick against Team Canada. Is that true?
Before I could even write, I was not allowed to pick for anybody other than Team Canada.
Yeah. I am going to be the only person here that's not picking our home country. I picked on our last episode of Prospects Corner, which you could check out over on the YouTube channel. I picked Sweden to win the gold medal, and they made me look like I might know what I'm talking about with their first win over Russia. They handled them pretty well. They got a stacked team. They've got, I think, the best goaltender, one of the best forwards, one of the best defensemen. So if they live up to what they can do on paper on the ice, they'll be a tough out. So they'll be fun to watch. So obviously, World Juniors, keep on watching that. Keep watching those Blackhawks prospects. Keep watching Blackhawks Banter every week on YouTube.